So this morning, I am excited to have Kevelyn Guzman on the Be the Solution podcast, where we are going to talk about many, many things. One of which we're going to dive into is 2026. And 2026 has already started. Also, today we're going to talk about women in real estate and leadership. And we're going to touch on the Compass acquisition of Anywhere Real Estate. So, welcome, Kevlin. I'm excited to talk with you today.
Thank you, Maria. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. So, one of the things we talk about, I had a sales meeting yesterday, is about everything that you're doing now or not doing is a direct reflection of Q1.
100%. So I wrote about this recently. I'm an Inman contributor, and I wrote about, that you're essentially working right now towards your Q1. All of the initiatives, all the seeds that you're planting, it's all for a strong Q1. If you are starting to do that in Q1, you are behind. And so I always say to my agents, there's a couple of things you need to be focused on right now. Your marketing strategy over the summer. I always advise our agents, sometimes it's a little slow, but I always advise them, look at your strategy, look at your marketing strategy. What has been working? What hasn't been working? And the fall market is when you pivot and do the things that you know didn't work, but then also be a little bit more aggressive, right? Because everything, Q1 tends to be slow. So you want to throw everything at the wall and hoping that a bunch of things stick for Q1.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we talk about a lot is conversations and having as many worthwhile conversations with people about real estate. And so people would say, connects, but I say conversations because there never was a closing that didn't start with a conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And looking at the day, I said, this is work. People say, work, well, my day's over. I said, well, the day is over when the day is over, when the work is done. And it takes what it takes. So I think it's going to take a little bit more this time, this year, than in past, based on everything that's happening in locally in our markets, but also in the world.
Right.
And it does have a direct impact on real estate because we don't live in a vacuum and we're emotional people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I always say, you never turn it off. Right? So if you're at your kid's school, if you are at a networking event, if you're hosting a community event, you never turn it off. You're always a realtor. And so you walk in and yes, look, it's a turn off to be always talking about properties and the market, right? But you always have to figure out a way to get that conversation going. I'm really big on networking events in New York City. This is the time of year where there's a lot of holiday parties. There's, a gathering everywhere you go. And so this is a critical time to be putting yourself out there. And we're in a relationships business, right? So you're building relationships with people and you're connecting with them on a deeper level. Sometimes that relationship that you meet that might seem like it won't turn into business could potentially turn into that. So you're always cultivating relationships everywhere you go,
Everywhere you go. And your relationships are what your life's about, really.
right? It's right. Life is about, cultivating relationships and, you never know where that business is going to come from. And so it's important that you are really just nurturing your relationships.
100%. So you had mentioned to me that you, prior to getting into real estate, you were working on Wall Street.
I was.
What made you pivot and get into the residential commercial real estate business, Kevin?
So numbers are fun. But I realized early on that I like people. And so I like people. I'm a bit of an extrovert and I love socializing. And just being in front of a computer all day looking at numbers, I was like, well, maybe this is not quite what I ought to be doing. And so I then said, well, maybe it's real estate, because real estate, I get to see properties in New York City. I get to build relationships. I get to network. And what started off as, let me just, see how it goes, I ended up loving it.
Mm. And it was just really easy when you started, right?
It was okay. It was okay because
How was it you?
it was okay. I wasn't selling or anything like that. I was more on the operations side. And it was eye-opening because the company that I was first with ended up closing their doors, right? So I had this great experience, but then suddenly, oh wow, there's this side of the business that you have to be producing on a regular basis, because if not, that can't happen. And so I learned a lot about the business side of it. And then I figured, if I'm going to go to a larger firm, which was still boutique, by the way, I figured, I'm going to go into operations and then I'm going to learn everything else in between. And that's exactly what happened. And I have to say, I learned in 18 years. I not only know all the aspects of the business ground up, but I help the agents today with their strategy, with building their business. And New York City is a very competitive market. We have over 10,000 agents. And so you kind of figure you're at a dinner, somebody else is a real estate agent. And so really it's just helping our agents get those properties out there, get them sold, creating their strategy, but also pushing the brand forward in New York City.
Mm. What do you think allows an agent to stand out in your marketplace?
So it is not having the listing. People think that, oh, you have the listing, you stand out. You do a video, you post it on social media, and that's it. But that's not all of it. You have to stand for something. People want to follow and buy and sell from people that are actually doing more than just the business. It shouldn't be about the transaction. It should be about caring about the people that you're working with. And that shows in everything you do. So for an agent, for you to stand out, you have to be doing more than just listing. And that
S-
more is being involved in your community.
Right. So there's the creating a movement. So that's one of the reasons why I created this movement, the Be the Solution movement, because I believe that we are our own solution. As humans, we have the answer within us.
Right.
It's just getting out of our own way and allowing it to happen. And it doesn't happen when we want it to happen. It happens when it's supposed to happen. Divine timing.
I truly believe in that. I believe in divine timing. I believe that everything happens for a reason. And sometimes that fear that keeps you from, propelling or growing comes from within. And so you're right in that you have to look deep and say to yourself, what are the things that are holding me back? And it might not just happen today, but you have to be consistent. You have to keep working at it until you get to where you want to.
And an everyday thing. I said, well, how did you do what you do? I said, here's the question is what did you have to go through to get where you are? It's not how
So,
you did it, what you had to go through to get where you are.
it's not easy being a Latina and a woman in New York City in this business. And so you find yourself having to dig really deep and find the strength in places that you never even thought was possible or that you even had it, right? Because oftentimes you have the naysayers and you have people that, sometimes don't agree with your approach, but it actually does work. And so it's not always easy, but you have to find the strength in you to be able to move forward.
And that's on a daily basis sometimes because we go through seasons, just like the rain and the snow and the sun. It's not always sunny out.
No,
That's why when it's raining, we appreciate the sun. And I think that sometimes in life, I don't, my belief of real estate is just a vehicle to live the life of our dreams. But to get better at it, you have to get better at you. Who do you need to become to go to the next level? What do you need to remove from your life? What do you need to work through? What trauma? You know, like you said, you're a woman, a Latina woman in New York. But I am definitely in Philadelphia. It's definitely very much more male dominated in development, and which is a big area which I worked in and still working in investing. And it's no, it's not easy. And you got to have a lot of strength and grit, perseverance. And I think one of the most important things is your integrity.
absolutely. It's what you do behind closed doors when no one is watching. And if you do the right thing when no one's looking, then you have integrity.
That's what it's really comes to because, you know, I call it anybody can buy a listing. Oh yeah, look, we can get you $1 million. And it's like,
Right.
it's 700,
Right.
you know, I say it all the time. I say to people, it's just like you watch, like for us, I could just go in the MLS and say, oh, it's still there. Not sold. It's not going to be sold. I'll just call them back when it expires off the market.
And I always say to our agents, you present the facts. And if that seller wants to go with another agent because they are promising to get them more money, let them go because I promise you, after it sits in the market for 6 months, they will be back and they will be reaching out to you.
Exactly. So, who are some of the people that you follow and that you look up to and that are your mentors?
So it's interesting because we always think about mentors, and um, sometimes your mentor doesn't do the right things, but but they show you the things that you don't want to do in the future. And so you take the things that perhaps you feel as a leader, I would never do that. And that's still positive because you're still learning from them, right? So, like some of the things that I lead with today that I learned from mentors in the past are, the fastest way to ruin a business and to destroy morale at a company is with a big ego.
Mm,
If the person in charge has a big ego, you can trust and believe that it will destroy morale with your agents, with the community, with relationships. And so I've always said to myself, these are the three things that I would never do. And I learned those things from mentors. And the one thing that I would say, I don't have a big ego, right? Having humility, being humble, it's something that I keep at the forefront. And also, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room to show that you're smart. And that is another thing that I lead with, right? You have to listen. The most important thing leading or in anything you do, when you walk into a pitch and you're talking the entire time and you're not listening to what the seller is saying, then you have a problem because you might be missing things that are important to that seller. So listening for me is also key. And then the third one is leading with integrity and making sure that, it's easy to look at something and say, well, we could cut corners here. But is that the right thing to do? And I always say to people, what you do in the dark will come to light. And so the mentors that I've had, I've learned the things what not to do.
mm,
And I've taken note of it and I've led with that.
so good. Really important. it's like also you look at that and it's what not to do, what to say no to so that you can say yes to something else.
Well,
So often we just want to, and I see this with agents and not just agents, people. We want to make sure our days are filled and busy, busy, doing busy things.
well, most
But the
people
real,
like being everybody likes to be a busybody.
right? But what are the most important things to get done? And sometimes you don't need, you know, 10 hours in a day to do it. Sometimes you might have it done in 4 hours. Sometimes, though, you may take a lot more time than you thought. And so I think also in the market that we're in, it just kind of takes what it takes. And it may be more than you're accustomed to doing, right? In the past. At least that's what I see in our marketplace. We have a lot of things that are kind of um, inventory that's sitting. It's taking much longer to sell. There's less buyers. In the in all of the United States, we'll have the least amount of home sales ever this year, ever, which means that's less business,
Right.
which means, and that's why we're also seeing people exiting our industry. Um, and a
Yeah, I
lot
feel
of
like
people,
that. The industry is always under attack. I feel like every time we blink, there's a new lawsuit, there's a new something happening, there's a new change to agreements. And so the industry as a whole has been changing. And so you add to that the market, interest rates and everything else, it's been almost a recipe for disaster.
this is why we're talking about this today, about the fourth quarter. We know that it is what it is. We're in it and doing everything. And I talked yesterday in our meeting about doubling down right now. Doubling down, like you said, I'm a networker when I'm feeling my best self. I go to every holiday party that I can go to in Philadelphia. All the top, law firms, they have
Right.
these big events, and like our Building Industry Association, the Union League of Philadelphia, all these things. You can, if you're not part of groups, you should be part of groups, different groups. What things do you love to do? Be
Right.
around things that you love to do so you can connect with people organically and
Agree. So,
from and in
mhm.
authenticity.
Right, right. So I always say to our agents, do you like playing pickleball? Tennis, join the club, right? Join the favorite. You have to be passionate about it because then it's gonna come across as disingenuous. So you have to make sure that whatever you're doing and connecting that you choose to do and connect with people, you have to be passionate about it because then you won't show up. There's no point in signing up for tennis if you dread it and you're forcing yourself to go. So you have to do things that you are passionate about and look at those clubs, like whether it's, maybe even a cooking class. Maybe you like to cook or want to get better, but you now join a group of, people that cook every other week, right? So it's finding the things that you like to do and then joining that. It's a perfect way to network.
We love doing things. And if you go to something that you love to do, you're going to go to it. It's not going to feel forced. It's not
Right.
going to feel like this is work.
Agree.
You're not
The other,
supposed. Yeah,
mhm.
go ahead, Kevin.
I also say the same thing is true for social media, right? With social media, you also should be, I mean, it's free marketing. You should be joining those groups on social media. You should be adding value. to some of those conversations. So you're doing in person, you're doing social media, like those are some of the key strategies that you should be working on. You join the clubs, whether that be tennis, cooking, whatever you're passionate about. But then you also do the same thing in social media. You are consistently posting and on group chats that it could get your information out there further. I always say to people, if you use social media strategically, then you will benefit from it. I am consistent with our social media, and we get business from social media. We've had sales through our social media platforms, and so if done correctly, it could be great.
Absolutely. It's all about, though, the end of the day, I believe, being your true self. People want to know who you are. They want to know who they're working with. They want to know what you believe in. And I do believe that some things should be left unsaid.
I absolutely, absolutely.
The negativity that is being posted today, the
No one cares,
politicalness,
right?
all these things, it's not really anybody's business until you make it their business. And then you will be attacked
Hmm.
100%. And so, why put yourself in that position? It's almost like, I believe it's like a self destruction.
Agree. So I always say, when you're about to post, ask yourself, is this adding value? Is this going to make a difference today? Or am I looking for an outlet to, just rant? Because if that's what you're looking for, call your sister, your mom, or your friend,
I was
right?
going to say, call your mother.
Right? But don't use social media for that. Ask yourself, am I adding value? And how do I want to connect with people? How do I want people to see me? Do they want me to see me as a real estate professional that can add value about my neighborhood, about the best restaurants? How are you adding value? And so you can't control what people do, right? And some people have bad days and they like to go to social media and share that experience of theirs. But I always caution that once you post something out there, it's in that it's in that etho, right? You can't take it back. You can't, someone's going to forward it to someone and you can't take it back. So just be mindful before you even post something.
Mm, yeah, it's so true. You really, really have to pay attention to what you're doing. And, we need more light in the world. We need more hope. We need more love. Uh, I think people are afraid to show that, to be vulnerable, to have sadness. Everybody wants to paint that just everything's great all the time. It's not.
I can't tell you
Mm.
the times that I hear agents say, or even people in general, they'll say things like, I'm going to work with this agent because it seems like she has the same circle as I do. She has the same lifestyle, or I like her values. I like that she's part of this organization, and so people want to connect with you on a deeper level. They want to know who you are. They want to know what you stand for. They want to know if they feel that you're an honest person they can do business with. And so that's why it's important that what you're putting out there is not only professional, but can add value to someone's life. That's how they connect with people today. It is by seeing your lifestyle and see if there's a common ground between you.
And I think video is something that you really can take advantage of if you can get behind it and be okay with seeing yourself and listening to yourself, you know, on
It's
screen.
not an easy thing to do. It is not an easy thing to do. And it's the hardest thing for most agents to do. they're like, I don't like my voice, I don't like the way I look, and it's hard. It's hard. So, but I always say to people, you just have to go out there and just do it.
Once you do it and you do it again, and you do it again, it's just like anything else. You get reps behind it, you get repetition. And I will say by having the podcast and interviewing over 300 and some people, and you know this because I didn't send you any questions,
Right.
because it's an organic conversation, which requires me to listen, which has made me a better listener, which has in turn made me a better leader
Absolutely.
and probably made me a better wife, etc. It's all tied together. There was a day I never did a podcast. There was a day I never did a video. But now there's like 2,000 videos or something. A lot of videos. But it does allow you to grow when you step out of your comfort zone and become vulnerable. I've done videos with my hair, like up in a pebbles thing. I'm on the beach. I'm in my bathing suit. I'm walking in the water.
And those probably end up being some of the best videos
People love
you've
it. They're
made.
like,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about life. And I don't even, most of the time, I'm not even hardly talking about real estate. Because if you think about it, there's maybe 5% of people in your circle of people or in your world or in your social that maybe have some interest at this time. So it's like 10 posts to every one or two that are real estate related.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I mean, it happens to us all the time. Sometimes I'm scrolling, and if I find a page that it's all about properties, it's not that interesting. Like people want a little bit more, and not just still pictures. We want the videos. We want to hear your take on the market. We don't just want you to post the market report. We want to hear what you think of the market.
One of the things I think it's great for real estate agents to do, for realtors to do, is do a monthly market update on whatever market they work in. You do it on video, you do it once a month, you send it out to your database, you post it on social, and then you can have it cut up in clips if you want to. It's real easy today. I mean, there's Opus, you can use CapCut. It's a lot simpler, or you can hire a VA and
Or you
have
can
them
have
do it for
AI
you.
do it for you as well.
Yeah, AI. The CapCut is great. I was just playing with it the other day. And now with, ChatGPT, I have the one that has the assistant version. My my AI their name is Closer.
I
They
like
name,
that.
so what happened is they gave me three names based upon what they know. So basically, it's named after you, and they gave me three names to choose from. One was Momentum, one was Closer, and I forget what the other one was. It was like something weird. So I picked Closer. But I talk to Closer every day, multiple times a day. And after you're doing this over and over again, your AI gets to know you and your voice.
It's fascinating because I saw that there's a new app where it's not the actual person in the video, it's your AI. So
Yes.
you upload a photo and then they make it live, and then it's not you doing the video.
Yeah.
It's it's
I
fascinating, but
saw it.
also creepy at the same time.
It is creepy because what if somebody takes you, Kevelyn, and starts doing your videos?
Right.
But it's super cool. I think Genesis does something similar to that, but I haven't played around with that. I mean, as you probably do, we have limited time. So I'm like doing it's like 7 a.m. and I'm on chat and I'm saying, okay, miss, here's my thoughts today. And then I get something back and I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Yeah, no, I think, there's been so many people against AI, but we've embraced it and we all think it's wonderful. It is that one more thing that kind of helps you get stuff out. I mean, look, I'm not suggesting that you use it and then you don't check what it's writing or that you just take it word by word, right? Because I don't think it's always right. I think 90% of the time it is pretty accurate, but you also have to check what it's doing. You can't just like take everything it says. Like we have people run property descriptions through there, and
Mm,
but you still it's a draft. You have to then go in there and
100%.
right. It's not just, okay,
100%.
well, ChatGPT said this is what the property description should be, and that should not be used that way. But it is a wonderful tool to have.
It's really interesting, in regards to if you wanna analyze something. I'm not talking about a property, maybe different, should I use this CRM, or this CRM? Or should I invest, in this platform, this one, or this one? It will take them and outline everything, and then make you can actually have it make graphs for you, and it's pretty fascinating. It really breaks it down, and it saves so much time for you to do that research because we have to spend the time client facing,
Absolutely.
interacting with our clients, with our agents. Since I'm also, I'm a coach and I'm a producer. So I have like a dual role, which, is interesting and challenging at times. But as you're doing this, you only have so much time in the day, is my point.
Right.
And you have to, like, I run off of a calendar. I'm sure you do the same. Like everything is blocked out. And I look at my calendar on Sunday and I evaluate the week before. And then I look at my calendar for the week ahead and I see what times is it that do I have open? I have to place in my calendar my time I'm going to do my outreach into the community. I'm going to do my outreach into for calling sellers. I'm going to have my trainings are already always booked. So, making sure everything that I have to get done is calendared. I even write down what we're having for dinner in advance.
I mean, that's great. I have to say that I as much as technology is great, I still old school style. I like to handwrite and I have my to-do list. I have my calendar, my Outlook calendar, but I also have my book that I like to write everything. It feels good to cross things off the list as
I
I'm
have
doing
that.
them.
Don't worry. I have that too. I have a composition notebook.
I think it's wonderful. It works for me, and just like you, on Sundays, I look at my week ahead, and I tend to do two things during the week. I block time, and I do handwritten notes, and it's part of my recruiting strategy. So I do handwritten notes. I create strategies in terms of events that we're doing. I've created a bunch of things to connect to the Coldwell Banker Network. And so I host a lot of events. I write for Inman. And so in my calendar, I block times so that I can get all of this done.
100%. And I think that's something that would help a lot of agents. A lot of people want to have a little bit more of a free flowing schedule, but then you can't accomplish all the things that you really want to accomplish with the free flowing
Right.
schedule,
Right.
right? I know you see it, I see it. And, training on calendar management, you know, is should be a training. It should be because I recognize how many people still don't really use that feature, and it's a great thing to do because it keeps you organized, and once you're organized, your brain is organized.
I absolutely. I also like to look back at my week and see if I've accomplished everything I set out to do. And the only way to do that is if you write it down and you're crossing it out. And then I say to myself, okay, I had a productive week, right? Based on everything I was able to do. But it's important to write it down, get your tasks done, and then look back. Look back and see why you couldn't get some stuff done. Figure that out so that you can get it done the next week. Sometimes it's, you get interrupted in the office. And it's hard to get certain things done, or you have a lot of meetings on your calendar and then you can't get to some of the other things, but you have to go back and see the reasons why and say, okay, well, maybe this time of the day is not the time to get this done.
The most important things I always try to accomplish in the morning before the day gets crazy with people calling and I don't know if a lot of people do this, but in our CRM, we can schedule our emails and schedule our text messages. So like at 7 a.m., I'll be sending messages out and then scheduling them for like 9, 10 o'clock. So that and that by that time I'm doing other work. So then when I'm done with that, I can go back, take a look if I've got responses from agents, from sellers. And this way I'm not bothering them at some crazy hour when they're not up, but I'm getting it
Right.
off my plate. You could do it even at night. You're sitting there. Well, waste a lot of time watching TV. You could be like scheduling your messages. I don't know.
Yeah. I tend to do that at night. I have two kids, and so when I put them
Yeah.
to bed, that's when I catch up, right? And catch up could be, let me send that email that I should have sent earlier today, or let me just go through my emails and see if I missed anything. And so once I put them to bed, that is my catch up time. And then I oftentimes I schedule things, or sometimes I'm just like, look, that person's probably sleeping right now, so they won't see it until the next day. But either way, at nighttime, I try to get the things done that I wasn't able to get to during the day.
Yeah. Kevlin, it's really important. I think sometimes we look for shiny objects that are going to change our world, our business. And it really is about the tiny hinges that swing big doors. And the things that we're talking about, they're tiny things, but they change your business in ways you wouldn't even understand by taking care of these little things that doesn't seem like they're big, but it's the tiniest things that make all the difference in the
Right.
world.
No, that is true. It's like when you have an issue in the office and you sweep it under the rug and you just cross your fingers and hope for it to go away because you think it's small, it's insignificant, but then it blows up and it turns out to be something bigger than you thought. Yeah, those little things can turn into bigger things. And so even though it sounds like, oh, keeping your track of what you're doing, your to-do list and crossing it out, but oftentimes you hear people say, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels and I'm not moving, right? Because they feel like they're so busy. But if you were organizing yourself and keeping track of what you're doing, then perhaps you would figure out why it is that you're spinning your wheels and not moving. What are the important, urgent things that you should be focusing on? Sometimes it feels like everything is urgent. You get that call, you get that email, and you're sort of like, everything is urgent. But is it really? Right? So it's also figuring out what is important and what should be taken care of this second and the other tomorrow. The only way to do that is if you're organized.
The only way to do it, organization. So before we wrap up, I just want to touch on the acquisition. The Compass is acquiring Anywhere Real Estate, which is your parent company, and your viewpoint on that.
So, it's been like with everything, the first 48 hours, it's news, but then the dust settles and everyone then just kind of moves on. I think for us, it's going to be a phenomenal opportunity for many reasons. But here's what I'd say to my agents. And so the timing is perfect because I just wrote an article for Inman on this.
Excellent.
How to not focus on real estate soap operas. Oftentimes, agents are, well, this person just jumped and went to this company, and they must be getting this split. And they got, everyone is always so focused on what's happening in other firms, and it's all noise, all noise. And I say to our agents all the time, stay focused on your business. You're an independent contractor. And at the end of the day, whether or not Compass is acquiring anywhere is not going to affect your business, right? Because why? At the end, you're going to get more. So always see the glass half full and not half empty, right? Focus on your business, continue to push forward, because if you lose those 48 hours, it could be detrimental to your business. And so, in my opinion, and I'm in it, I can say, I can give you maybe 100 reasons why this is a good thing. And why it's not a bad thing, because I will never focus on the negative, focus on the opportunity. And I think that there is a big opportunity here for us with this merger.
Oh, excellent. You put that very well, very eloquent.
Thank you.
It has been, you're great. I love your energy. I love the way that you
You
think,
too.
and
Thank you.
it's refreshing. And it has been my pleasure to have you on the Be the Solution podcast, Kevlin. And
And
I
thank you
wish
for
you,
having me. You are great.
yeah, you are so welcome.